get this started. Okay, well, welcome everybody tonight. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing your Wednesday with us, and thank you for being here part of this enlightened conversation on facing your demons. I am going to be your facilitator for this evening. Like I said, I was going through a lot of stuff this week, and I heard this phrase for tonight's topic. Like I heard the previous two phrases for previous 2 Wednesdays. Literally, this came down from above. You're talking about facing your demons this week. And once again, it was another week where I really was going to cancel class because I was going through so much hell. I was like, there's no way I'm teaching class Wednesday. And then I heard someone say, oh, yes, you are. You're going to talk about facing your demons. And I was like, but that's going to be hypocritical because I don't think I'm facing my demons. Because I was like Nicole, I was just in pain. Anyway, here we go. So I said, well, Spirit, you're going to have to just give it all to me because I don't really have it to come up with. And they said, don't worry, just get to your computer and we'll give you the download. So this is a synthesis of information that I got previously in my readings. And I guess the other part of it is just downloads and Spirit. Some of it may sound familiar, some of it may not sound familiar. But here we go. Y'all all aboard, or have we bored everybody out? All right.
All aboard.
Feel free to unmute yourself. I like the feedback.
Okay. All aboard.
Let's get started. So let's talk about the history of demons. So where did the original demons come from? The original idea and concept of demons are falling angels. Hold on. Sorry, didn't mean to jump up under the screen. So the original concept of demons really come from these falling angels, these higher dimensional beings that were once assigned to assist the progress of Earth, but their hardwiring became corrupted via the Lucifer rebellion that we talked about 2 weeks ago. That PowerPoint is up on my YouTube channel and my podcast. So it's that Lucifer rebellion kind of corrupted and interfered with these fallen angels, their hardwire. And they were historically kind of the first attributed demons. Plus these other creatures that the book of Urantia referred to as midway creatures. These are these half mortals, half supermortal, invisible to the human eye. It's these beings born between strands of ancient advanced human creatures. They also got corrupted. They also got corrupted by the Lucifer rebellion. And in that corruption, they kind of still exist. According to the book of Urantia, that the fallen angels and the midway creatures that were really causing so much havoc in human lives have all since been banished from the earth. And that there aren't any really true of these demons really left here on the planet, causing problems in the physically causing harm and danger to humans. Physically causing harm and danger to humans. That they've all been removed many thousands of years ago. And so we're not truly, according to the book of Urantia, dealing with these negative entities that once were actually causing physical havoc in the material realm. Okay. So let's start this conversation, the same conversation about Lucifer rebellion. One of the biggest contexts that you need to grasp and understand and really get a hold of is this idea that progress is the watchword of the universe. Everything in the universe is about progress, okay? Anything for progress is of God or good or life, all right? The first commandment God gave Adam and Eve in the story of the creation story that we all were conditioned and contextualized with was be fruitful and multiply, subdue the earth. So there's this idea of progress and evolution. Increase is the goal of life. Weeds are trying to compete in the garden with the seeds. Everything is competing for life, growth, more. The goal of life is evolution. The aim of eternity is progress. Anything anti-progress is evil. That's why it's live spelled backwards, okay? Because it's life going backwards and not going forward. It's not making progress. We call that evil, immaturity. Don't mistake evil with sin. That may be another talk in the future. Sin is when you consciously choose to do something backwards. Evil is just a repercussion of just being immature, just making a choice that takes you backwards in time. Because progress is what's true in the universe, and progress is what every aim that we have. We've been given this genetic imperative to reproduce for the sake of progress and evolution. Did you know that you're attracted to your opposite for the sake of creating a diverse super group of human beings? So you can take the best strands of your partner's, their past genetic code, and the best strands of your genetic code, and come together to create a new species. Mother Earth is always trying to create a new variety of trying to get this higher evolved life. Variety truly is the spice of life. And your genetic imperative is always trying to match you with your opposite, sometimes detrimental and sometimes it can be exalted. But everything is driven by this idea of progress. Progress is so important. I always like to stress, that's why, again, the sex urge for reproduction and mutating species and making more humans is the strongest urge in the human body, even stronger than hunger. And so we're all about making more. We're all about progress. We're all about evolution and mutation. Arrested development is the aim of what we call demons, okay? Demons, or these forces, or the fallen angels, their old agenda, and any type of what we call a demon, is the aim of demons, or negative, what we're going to get into later, is anything that's trying to arrest development, stop progress. When progress on any level is interrupted or delayed, it creates this counterforce energy, and this counterforce energy takes on its own retrogressive aim, and it leads to a host of what I call, or what I was heard, what was told to me a few years ago, negative functioning forces. And they disrupt us humans, and we call this host of negative function forces demons. Most of, or at least in this presentation, what I'm going to be referring to as demon is these hosts of negative function forces disrupting us humans. And they're a byproduct of just counterforce energy when some type of progress has been interrupted or delayed. All right, so when I use the word demons, in my philosophy, my teaching, I am talking about negative functioning forces. And there's 5 negative functioning forces that have been identified and revealed to me. There may be more. Some of these may not be accurate, may not be in your reality, your experience, but these are what I have seen. The first one are these astral entities, or still fallen angels. Even though they're not here kind of in this physical eye realm, but they're still there, very trying to arrest development. Earthbound or stuck human personalities, mental thought form and pain bodies, unhealed genetic memories, and previous life personality traumas. And so these are the 5 demons that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go over them really briefly, and then I'm going to talk about some treatment and how you can face, when I use the word treatment, I mean how you can face some of these negative functioning forces in your life, or these demons. All right, any questions before we proceed? Well, let me keep proceeding, because those people who are going to watch this later, it's best if you write down all your questions or send your questions into the chat box, and then when we finish, we will. If you have something really pressing, put it in the chat box so I can see it, especially if I need to make a comment on it. How I teach is intuitively. So when you ask a question, you keep me on track and you help me recall something that I may have forgotten. So please let your questions come forth. There's no stupid questions. Your questions are helping me bring forth this channel material. All right, so let's talk about the ancient astral entities, or these fallen angels. These are kind of doomed entities that are now trying to just seek to doom the progress of humans, and humans with potential. If you're in this presentation, you are what I call a human with potential. And basically, a human with potential is a human who has supernormal willpower. And supernormal willpower, basically, all of us are loved equally, but not all humans are created equal. So a person with a supernormal will pretty much has an ability to really, really, truly think outside the box. They truly can make choices out of their own influence, and they're not so easily conditioned, easily influenced by the collective thought or sheep thinking. And so these astral entities can recognize us, and they see that we have a lot of potential to influence the earth, and we have a lot of potential for our career at the earth. And so we become like a target to these astral entities or these fallen beings, and they try to influence highly evolved or super, what I call supernormal willpower humans. And they only do it, their only means that they can do it is by projecting out counterintuitive programming, messages, ideas, philosophies, ideas, put out in the air and hope that maybe one of these supernormal humans will get a hold of it. Because if those supernormal humans get a hold of this false programming and this retrogressive programming, it'll corrupt them. And because of their influence on the earth, it'll corrupt the earth. And this is why there's a scripture in the Bible that says, if it was possible, even the elect would be fooled. So these entities are constantly sending out false information, false ideas, false ideology, false philosophies that once you eat it, it'll have a negative impact on you. It'll lower your vibration. It'll cause you to be retrogressive and anybody contained in your energy or vortex. All right. So the treatment we're facing these falling astral entities or these angels is trying to corrupt us and corrupt our ideology. And again, all they can do is send us negative thinking, negative suggestive programming through our resonance. And the treatment is really simple. Releasing, trying to control other humans through guilt, fear, and shame. Now that may sound too simple to you all, but it's really not. If it's trying to release control of your life and releasing other humans. The philosophy, all of their philosophies are really rooted in trying to control your own life and trying to control or manipulate other humans. And so the more you start resonating with this idea of wanting to control others, get a sense of power, keep your ego intact, or trying to control your life and not just sit back and say, hey, this is not my life, it's only my ride, the more you're out of their influence. But the more you start wanting to control other people's behavior, other people's actions, the more you're going to become suggestive to their influence, and the more it's going to have a disastrous, negative, corruptive impact on your own progress and development spiritually. You may get blessings materially, but your spiritual substance, your spiritual ability will be delayed in progress. You will be delayed in its progress. Okay. Any questions about the astral entities or fallen angels and who they are? And when I say they're doomed, meaning they're not going to make any progress. They've lost their progress. They've lost their they kind of lost their positions. And so they're kind of just like these entities that haven't been nearly annihilated yet. So they're kind of getting this high off of just trying to disrupt.
I have a question, Adam.
Okay.
I don't know.
Who somebody said before you, Charles? Who was that that had the question?
This is Chelsea.
Hey, Chelsea.
So my question is, do you think that the idea that I am God or that humans are actually God themselves could be a counterintuitive programming from demons?
It could be, depending on how it is used. All right, it all depends. It is, if I am God, I want to be worshipped, I want to control things, or is it I am God and I give and I serve unconditionally to the planet and to the universe? All right, think about a God, what God is doing. God just loves all humans and just gives. Some people don't believe in him, some do believe in him. Some people curse him, some people don't. But God keeps saying, I'm sending the rain, I'm gonna bless him, I'm gonna keep him alive. And so if you say I am God, with the idea of I am here to just give unconditionally and love and love and love, like the sun and the stars. The sun just keeps shining, earth just keeps spinning. We curse her out, we kill her, we're harming her, and she's just like, I love these babies. And so if we think we are God, in this idea of giving, but if we're like, well, I'm a God, I should be worshipped, I should have control, that definitely can influence. So it's really the intention behind that statement. So it's not so much language as much as an intention and an attitude. Does that make sense, Chelsea?
It does.
So somebody can say, I am God, and they're doing it out of a sense of realizing I am love. I'm here to just give and give of myself. In other words, say, I am God, and I want to control everything and everybody. Charles?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw this image out there and see what comes back. My nephew years ago sent me this movie called The Laws of Eternity. And at one point during the presentation, they go into like the lower realms, like the lower dimensions, like the second and third lower dimensions. And so it was similar to what you're saying, where, you know, you had fallen angels and beings that fell to that matched their vibrational energy. But the movie had this image of angels actually going down there and taking those beings and pulling them up, and you can see them transform like from a demon. It's like, it's not like they're just evil, not all of them, but there were people that like, they just had to give them a little bit of support, and then it like changed, it like transmuted, and then they were able to be restored to their original glory. I just wanted to throw that energy out there.
Yeah, you know, the Bible speaks about that when the Bible says that Jesus, after he had been dead, he went down to Hades and released some spirits. And so there's this idea of praying, and your light for your ancestors can raise them up. And so there is this idea that we're never really doomed. And as long as you have an idea of repentance and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I moved away from my father. God's love is so great. His mercy is unbounded. I mean, it's just mercy on top of mercy on top of mercy for anybody who has it. But these entities are entities who say, I don't want his mercy. They become so corrupted. They're just like, I don't want his mercy. I don't want to be raised higher.
Adam, I got a question or a comment or something, because you know my life, right? Okay, so I'm sitting here and I'm honestly thinking, I know you have not gone through the whole 5 people, but let me ask you a question. So how do they get like this? Did you go over that? And then
how did what get like what?
How do the fallen angel people?
It's in the Lucifer rebellion. When they basically ate his negative suggestion thought of being in control, and they never ever, when they realized they were fallen, they became corrupted, and they never stopped to repent. It goes back to that idea of that person in your circle of friends, and we've seen throughout high school, they make a bad decision, then they make another bad decision, He's like, hey, don't you realize you're really effing your life up? And they just don't stop. After a while, that you just like, okay, they just down.
Okay, and then
a little bad decision. So these are entities that were heavily influenced by the Lucifer rebellion and just become corrupted, and they still have not said enough. They just keep going down. Like we see these in people we grew up with. They just keep rebelling.
Okay. And tell me, say again what you said about evil. Like you said something and I missed it.
Evil is just life going backwards or regressive. The word evil is lived backwards. Devil is the word lived backwards. So it's instead of going progressive, leading to spiritual progress, leading to awareness, it's going regressive.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all for those questions.
Can I say something?
Yes. Who is that?
It's Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi. I just want to, I really like this. I've been on a spiritual journey for a long time. And what I'm facing right now, you really captured like in the treatment part. And I'm just starting to kind of, I think, find my way with this. I was having trouble with releasing, where you say release, trying to control your life. I really have been really stuck in that for a long time, because I really believe that, the whole thing of holding yourself in accountability and being responsible for yourself and your actions. And I was, every time I felt like, and it was really for like the last few years, I felt like I got to this place where I thought I was really taking accountability for myself, but I would have like these negative repercussions, and they would feel like, what I would call like a psychic attack kind of thing, where just negative stuff would happen, and I couldn't figure it out because it didn't used to be that way, on my journey. But then it was like this shift happened, and what I realized, and I just want to, I think your presentation here is really helping me to kind of articulate within myself. So that's what I want to point out. I was confusing controlling my life with controlling myself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's such a fine line. It's a very fine line, because there's a part where you're trying to control your life. You're not walking with God when you're doing that, right? You're not in that co-creator. You're not open to this spirituality in your life. And it's a trust thing. That was what I have to overcome. It's a trust.
It's my presentation, that T word.
Yeah. And it's so important, because whenever you're trying to control your life and you're not controlling yourself, no matter how good your intentions are or how good you think your intentions are, there's some aspect of having to control somebody else, because everything in our external world involves other people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is a huge learning for me. And so I really appreciate that you
Thank you.
were able to put that in there.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. You added some good illustrative emphasis on this release and control. And I think when you say, this is what I hear when you say controlling me versus controlling life, is we can control our reactions. We can control how we respond. We can control our attitude, our behavior, but we don't have to control the external things around us, because that's going to get us into the rim of trying to control other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to be controlling ourselves. We're in the backseat of the car. We can control how we respond, how we react, but we can't control the driver or the road or the highway or the other cars.
Yeah, I got goosebumps. That's cool. Thank you.
All right, so let's go to the earthbound, stuck human personalities. These are fear-based mortal personalities who also has supernormal will. And because they have supernormal will, it's not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing at them. I actually had a dream one time I was an earthbound spirit. It was very irritating and frustrating because I could not leave this house. I was stuck in it. Anyway, these fear-based mortal personalities have supernormal willpower. So when they die unexpectedly, they have supernormal will, but they never develop faith in an afterlife. And they're able to will themselves to stay on the earth because they already had a strong supernormal willpower than most mortals. And they're able to will themselves to exist on the earth outside of their body. But yet they're stuck, and they become unintentionally parasitically live off of alive humans. The only way you can do that is by permission of your human will. They do not do it. They do not just take easy victims. You have to really give them consciousness to get that permission. And the treatment here is that keep faith in humanity and future life after Earth. You got to have this sense of all is well. There's other people are good, other people are helpful, and really have faith that there is life after Earth. These beings do think that Earth is all there is, so they're still trying to stay stuck on the Earth. They're still trying to live in the Earth, so they try to live parasitically through other beings. And this is also about releasing control. This is releasing the need to control the future and releasing fear of the future. Releasing fear of the future really keeps you out of resonance with them. And I remember in that dream, I was a stuck being in St. Augusta, Florida. And I was traveling in time, but I was not traveling in location. So ghosts travel in time, they don't travel in location. So they'll be stuck in a house, but as they walk this way or walk that way, they go back and forth in time. And the time kept changing and the house kept changing. And I was so angry. Gosh, I was so angry. I was so angry that I could not figure out what was going on. And it was the weirdest dream I've ever had in my life. And the dogs kept barking at me, and I was so angry. But most of these are supernormal humans who became very bitter with other humans. They lost their faith in humanity because of their supernormal willpower. They became very angry Scrooges. They became fearful of life after death. They were always trying to control the future, and they feared the future. And when that moment of their body's termination, they became so fear, and that they used that force of their willpower that they were gifted with to stay here. And they can live parasitically off of other humans, it's like a negative, like a bad best friend in your life, just constantly draining your life force. And what happened is they start, because they have supernormal willpower, you too also can resonate in their frequency, in their mind, in their thought. And by feeding their thought, you kind of keep them alive in some weird way. Like when you hear your words repeated from a friend and it makes you feel like a part of me is being kept alive, a part of them gets to relive and stay alive by influencing you in your thoughts and your suggestions. But it's only in the resonance of these negative thoughts of hate for humanity and fear of life after death and trying to control the future or just have fear of the future. All right, then we got mental thought forms or pain bodies. And this is when thought forms take a life of their own. Remember, everything in the universe is about progress. So all of these entities are either trying to keep their progress alive by interrupting progress, And so they're arresting your development to keep their development, because everything, the root is about progress. Think of a weed in the garden. That weed is like, hey, I'm going to kill these fruits because I want to survive. Even though I don't have any fruit to bear for humans, I just want to kill out their fruit because I'm trying to survive. Everything's about surviving, taking life to survive. And so thought forms become very regressive thought forms, negative thought forms that contain no truth, very dark and negative, and they become like basically like the moon breaks off from the earth or breaks off wherever the moon came from, and it starts orbiting around in your head. So everyone has these thought forms just floating around their head, negative thought forms that become parasitic to you. And these are thought forms that are born. Think of how a woman conceives or how a child is conceived. So you have an egg and you have a sperm. So shame is the egg. Any energy of shame that is not released and not processed. It's not just shame, but it's when the shame gets stuck. When the shame becomes like a comfort blanket instead of being released. And after a certain while, like you leave sugar out or you leave some type of food out, after a while, if you just leave that shame in you, it become corruptive. It becomes full of bacteria, it becomes dark and murky. And then when you add guilt is like sperm. So when guilt, the sperm and the shame, they create this entity, they create a thought form. And that thought form is a thought form that's going to continue to bring to you fear, apathy. And then that thought form can create other shameful places in your life and then bring in some guilt. And then that together creates other negative thought forms. And then these thought forms are nourished and kept alive and grown by fear and apathy. And they become a vicious cycle of feeling shame, feeling guilt, then becoming afraid, then becoming hopeless, feeding it more and feeding it more. And this is that pain body that keeps us in negative relationships, negative job, negative experiences. And what happened is this pain body keeps us in this state of pain. And whenever it gets us into that state of, oh, I hate my life, why is me? It like, if you can imagine, it takes a straw and it just like, when we generate that emotion in us, of that natural organic emotion of shame and guilt and fear, it just drinks it up like, let's put Adam in some more pain. They just drink it up and it feeds it. And so it only does it when you're not awake and when you give into it. So the treatment here is like fasting and prayer. And when I say fasting, meaning not feeding the apathy, not feeding the fear, not giving into the same behavior that's going to cause shame and guilt. This is so tricky. That's why I got to fast and pray. Because what happens is the shame and guilt becomes attached to a behavior. You do something in an action that is negative or some negative addiction. This is the devil card in the tarot. It produces and invokes a shame and guilt. And the solution, once you get enough of that guilt and shame, the solution of release is to do more of the behavior and then do more behavior. And it becomes this dark, nasty, vicious cycle. And the way to break it is you're going to have to fast from some type of behavior, some type of action, some type of attitude. And then you're going to have to prayer by giving some type of gratitude. And literally, like Alcoholics Anonymous says, we surrender. I'm an alcoholic. I need divine grace to help me get through this. And so you can't nourish it through fear and apathy. You can't nourish it by keep doing the behavior, but you've got to give gratitude. Say, thank God for where you're at. Thank God. Stay in gratitude through a prayer and ask for divine intervention. Say, I'm helpless. I surrender. I need help. The serenity prayer. Alcoholics Anonymous, 12-step programs, recovery programs. The Friday night RYV is what I'm trying to get it to. Is to help us. But it's going to take some type of really fasting prayer. This is that demon in the Bible that Jesus' disciples couldn't cast out. And they say, hey, we couldn't cast this thing out. He said, this kind don't come out but by prayer and fasting. And because it's so built in us, it is such a vicious cycle, because the solution for us usually is to engage in the behavior that induces the shame and guilt, right? It's like that person who wants to lose weight. They want to stop eating their sweets, but life gets tough and they get depressed, and then they depress over how they look. And what do they want to do? They want to eat sugar to make them feel better. And it creates the same thing that makes them feel guilt and shame. It's like that nasty, vicious cycle. So somewhere there's going to have to be some type of fasting that's going to happen, and pray for that, which a lot of us is tough. But sometimes it may not be a fast from behavior. It can be a fast from a way of thinking, stopping the thought, stopping fasting from the pity party, fasting from the victimization, fasting from the why it's me, fasting from the I can't help it, I'm helpless, because that's apathy. And saying, you know what, I can. There's a way out of here. I don't know how, but it's going to come. I can face tomorrow. There is tomorrow. And just stopping that thought and just thinking there's hope for tomorrow, just making a first step to get help, and you can collapse it. I grew up in a church where I would see people with bad negative behaviors, or they have alcohol addiction, whatever it may be, and they'd be back in the church and the preacher be preaching to them. Just come up here. And by the time they just finally like break that shame and make that step up there, that their whole body, by walking to that altar call, they're saying, I need help. And by the time they're collapsing and they're crying, and I've seen their lives transform because they made an act to stop in a behavior and ask for divine intervention. But these mental thought forms and pain bodies are most of the demons that most of us are facing in these past few weeks and these months and these energies on the planet. Most of us don't deal with those other negative functioning forces. Most of us are dealing with these mental thought forms and pain bodies that the spirit is trying to get us to release, because these thought forms create holographic experiences for us that keep us from all our abundance. All of our abundance and sufficiency is right around us. All we need is right around us. But these thought forms they become like blankets and veils, keeping us from seeing the truth and seeing the things that can make us happy and satisfied. All right. And then we got genetic memories and markers. This is like DNA material that contains regressive, unhealed genetic traumas from our ancestors and their thought forms that they kept so long that it imprinted our genetic code. And so we inherit genetic code or genetic memories from their thought forms that influence us with negative patterns. And this is easier said than done, but this is the treatment here is you got to live awake and aware and make new choices in light of the new revealed truth. So when you learn new things, you don't respond the same way your grandma, your aunt, or your mother responded. So if you know, like, you're in an abusive relationship and you know that this is how my family responded to it, I'm going to stay awake and alive, and I'm going to make a new choice in light of truth, and you're beginning to heal that trauma. You're not going to respond in anger. You're going to choose love. You're going to choose a higher revealed truth, whatever that higher revealed truth is to you. So that way that breaks that pattern of that genetic marker, or that genetic memory. And then the last one is, it's kind of difficult to explain. I don't refer to this as past life trauma. I refer to it as past life personality trauma memories. And what I mean by that is this is the previous personality that once possessed your soul or spiritual vehicle. And this idea is kind of unique to me. It's unique in my philosophy that how I teach past life. I don't teach past life like it was your life that you lived, but I teach it as more so like it's a previous owner of your car. Your soul is the car, or your soul is a jump drive, and you had a previous owner to it. And that previous owner had its own thought form, and its own traumas, and its own memories. And so it's like buying a used car. And because the way they drove that car and different things they did that car, you inherit it when you get into it, that soul. And so some of us are here on borrowed other people's souls that we call our past lives. But it's really—
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting imagery that you created, where like, okay, if the soul is like a vehicle or a car, who are we as these personalities embodying these souls?
So we are the personality of God. We're God consciousness. We're the gift of God, inhabiting Him, getting to experience life, and with the chance of continuing to evolve to the degree where we transform the vehicle, and it becomes our vehicle transport at the earth. If we keep evolving and keep letting the truth download in us. And so the treatment here is, once again, is to live awake and make new choices in light of that revealed truth. It's the same as genetic. It's like a genetic memory. You repeat the same situation, and you make a different choice this time around. You choose different in light of the revealed truth. The previous person may have not had revealed truth to them. They might not known about a presentation like this. So now that you have the truth, you need to do differently. Like, you got to choose differently. I think about this analogy that Jesus taught, and he told the people that did not a city that refused to come to the truth after he gave out this beautiful sermon. He healed somebody, and then people still was like, we ain't believing that. We're not gonna believe your gospel. And he told them, he's like, and y'all all know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. He said, man, if the people of Sodom and Gomorrah would have heard this story, they would have repented with sackcloth and ashes. They would have fell down. He's like, it's going to be easier for them on the day of judgment than for you all. Meaning when they come into the eye of truth, they're going to be like, oh my God, we were really silly to not live in it. And so we're all getting revealed truth every day, every week. We're overexposed to revealed truth, right? I get a tarot reading from myself. I get a call from a friend. Someone give me some deep insight about my life, but I don't practice it. I still choose out of my ignorance. And so this is when you know the truth, you act on it. You get a revealed truth. Aha, God wants me to believe or have faith. Okay, I'm still going to be miserable and play the victim. I'm still going to go into a victim mode. And so this is living through the experiences of the past life personality trauma, but making a new choice, doing something different. And so, and when you get a past life reading in this regards, it's helpful because you can see, oh, that's the same pattern I'm doing right now. Let me choose something different. And you're going to find out it will be challenging without some sense of faith or trust. But again, the treatment to face that type of demon is to be fully aware of, here's the pattern I'm stuck in. And now I got to make a new choice in light of the truth that I've got. And it's not going to feel good because it's like breaking through a spider web. You've been entangled in this pattern for so long as a part of your genetic memory, maybe a part of your soul's memory. And now you got to make a choice against it and choose something else when nothing in you may be in agreement with it, or you may not have the appearance because your holographic reality has been created from this negative thought form. So it's going to be suggesting to you the opposite of the truth that you need to act upon. But you're going to say, I walk by faith and not by sight. And I'm going to make a choice out of faith, even though everything in me is telling me that it's hopeless, it's not worth it. I don't see any examples of this happening in anybody else's life, but I'm going to choose faith. And when you choose faith, you release that past life trauma. You heal it. You transmute it. You transmute it. And it is transmutation season, if y'all did not know. All right, so the good news is your higher self cannot be influenced by demons. Any of these negative functioning forces is not touching a core part of who you really are. You're already enlightened and free and above any resonance with demons. Everybody is born with this alignment in that consciousness. Charles says, where do we come from? Who are we? We're in the higher being, right? We're already there. It's just a matter of letting the process of alignment, bringing it down, bringing your core healed self into the genetic memory. It changes it. Bringing it into the past life, it heals it. Bringing it into the corrupted thought, it enlightens it, it breaks it. So it's really just about aligning with your higher self. This is what meditation, this is what prayer is. This is what surrender and let go is. Your higher self already knows how to heal the thought forms. It already knows how to heal your genetic memory. It already knows how to heal your past life. You ain't got to do it. All you got to do is just let your higher self, the energy of the higher self, come through you. A powerful mantra about this is written in the book I Am Word, the I Am Word series by Paul Selig. And he says, you say, I am word through this memory. I am word through this experience. I am word through the one I see before me. I am word through my body. I am word through my mind. I am word through knowing myself as word. And he says, just that mantra, it brings the energy of the word of God, who you are, into those areas of your life that you're stuck, that you're frustrated in, and that raises your vibration because you're releasing the true part of who you are that is not ever touched by anything demonic or any negative functioning forces. It's only your mind. It's only the mind that's influenced. So that's why another reason you don't want to live by the dictates of your mind. Your mind can be influenced, but your soul and your spirit, it stays pure in the divineness of God. And fear versus love. The mind, it only knows fear. And so when you make decisions out of fear, you are giving into the mind, and that mind can be influenced by these negative functioning forces. Fear creates resistance in yourself and the outer world. It opens up that shame, guilt, and apathy. Fear leads to shame and guilt. It opens it up, it feeds it up, but love creates an expansion in yourself and in the outer world. Love opens up a door. When you choose love, you're basically saying, come on in here, higher self, and take care of this. when you choose love, you open up a portal for light to come through from your higher self. Every time you make a decision out of love for another person, for yourself, here comes some light. And that light is like a laser gun. It's going to transmute any of those negative functioning forces. All you got to do is just let the light come in. Love yourself, heal yourself. It raises your vibration and it moves you out of the resonance with the demons. And they just fall away whenever you're in love. And that's why the Psalm says, even if I go down into the depths of Hades and hell, you shall not abandon me or forsake me. You can always, even in the midst of your despair, you can cry out for help and choose to love yourself, forgive yourself, and love will come in, like Charles gave that analogy, that TV or that documentary. Love will come and pick you up from the pits of hell. And that's why we sing that hymn, Love Lifted Me. When I was lost, deep in sin, love lifted me. It's a beautiful hymn. Every time I hear the words with this new understanding, I get emotional. I wish I could play it tonight, but love really will lift you up out of the worst situations. And all you really need is faith. Sounds easier said than done, but it just takes a little bit of faith, just that little mustard seed of faith, and it has a amazing impact, because a little seed of faith will make you choose love. And you know how it is with a little bit of light. Anybody ever try to sleep with a whole bunch of dark windows, and that little bit of light piercing will wake you up? Like that little piercing sunlight will wake you up. And so light is just something that can't be contained. So just a little bit of faith, of love opens up, and that little bit of light start edging away the darkness, the demon, the negative functioning forces. Just one little act of love. It gives space for yourself, gives space for other people. But it's just faith. Faith is this effort to hope and believe that you are enough and others are enough. And just simply knowing that I am enough, even if you're in the midst of a negative functioning forces. Think about the parables in the Bible when Jesus healed the people who had demons. They would just go to him and say, help me. He would say, your faith has healed you. The end. And the demons would be released off of them. All they had to do was just say, here I am. So it really is this idea of knowing that God is love. He's not forsaken or abandoning you. Because that's the other, I didn't get into this, but some of the negative functioning forces is also rooted around this idea that we've been abandoned, that somehow God had abandoned us. That's what I was struggling with this week. I really was struggling really hard with a thought form. I knew it was a thought form. It was a thought form of this idea that God has abandoned me. And I had to that thing was hard to cast down. Because everything in your world will be like, look at all this proof. I know I've been abandoned by God. And says, no, wait, God has not abandoned me. There's no way. Just a little faith can shift things. And knowing that all you have to do is just know that I don't need anything to please God. God is here. All I got to do is just release, have faith. Faith that love is enough to support you. God's love is really enough. All you got to do is just believe in God's love. It's that simple. Faith that God's love is enough. And when I say his love is his support for you, his love for you, and his ability to rescue you. Faith that you're loved enough as you are in all your inadequacies or whatever you are. That way you don't have shame. Because when you know that you're enough as you are, it takes away shame and guilt. And remember, demons in the darkness cannot survive except being fed off of shame, guilt, and fear. Know that you're going to have your desires and urges met sufficiently. Don't feel shame and guilt for them. Faith that your inadequacies of others will not going to interfere or harm you in any way. So that releases control. When you have faith that other people cannot interfere with your life, right? I don't care how crazy this politician is. I don't care what's happening over here. I don't care about them over there. Nothing is going to interfere and harm me in any way, not harm my soul. This is why the master taught people, don't fear who can harm the body, but fear who can harm the soul. It takes you out of that fear, and that fear releases control. Have faith that the error of others and the error of nature can be worked out in a way that can still be in your favor. Know that even if somebody is being evil, think of the story of Joseph. His brother sold him in slavery. It led to him being a king. So think about terrible earthquakes and hurricanes and crazy, horrible things happen on the earth. But they create beautiful islands for us to live off of, right? A nasty ice age may took out one civilization, but it brings forth a beautiful river for a civilization years later. So just trust that everything is working out for the favor and the good of everything involved. So there is this faith that love is enough, faith that your others can interfere with you. And it is like a sense of having this faith, trust, and assurance. And then the biggest other end part is once you have that faith in God and knowing everything's going to, you gotta repent. We talked about this word Friday. I really don't like it because it sounds so religious, but it's just repent is just this adjusting the view of yourself, adjusting your view of life, adjusting your view. It's realizing, you know what, I've been in alignment with some very negative forces. Change your mind about it. Michelle talked about how she had an adjustment in her view when she realized, you know what, let me control me and not life. That's the energy of repentance. It's this idea where you change your adjustment about life. And then you got to confess. Nothing frees you from shame and guilt like confession. Just tell the truth about yourself. Tell the truth about your hurt, your pain. I wanted this, I didn't get it. I really felt like this. When you just bring all that to the light, that light can transmute and heal it. It releases you out of shame. It releases you out of guilt, out of fear. Confession is good for the soul because it takes you out of shame. Shame and guilt thrive off of secrecy. Thrive off of secrecy. Little secrets, right? Like not tell our partner or lover that we may bought some bubble gum at the store or little things. But it just really, secrecy feeds guilt and shame and guilt attracts lower entities. And then you surrender and release. Gratitude for the blessings, gratitude for bullshit is always an act of surrender. It's one of the easiest acts of surrender. If you don't know how to surrender, really just find a sense of gratitude for the bullshit you're going through, the frustration, the anger, the pain, whatever it is. Gratitude is a method of saying, you know what? Not my will, thou be done. Thank you for this bullshit. Thank you for this blessing. Thank you for the bullshit. It's an act of surrender. And then the fourth thing that is overlooked is look or wait for a unique and organic way to love another person, because light and love is going to be attracted to you. And so give a gift, pay back a loan, help someone in need, write a letter of somebody that you know that may have wronged you, that you may have wronged, or you may have wronged them, offer forgiveness, see a person in need. Find out, take that table out of storage that's been in there for 3 years and give it to a family that table can really bless. Give away some of them clothes to somebody. Like give something, bless somebody. Give it when you don't have it. When you're doing these acts like that, it is it speaks volumes to the spiritual and the law of attraction, because actions reinforce the thought. So if you thinking you're loved a little bit, but you act to bring love to somebody else, it expands your own sense of feeling loved. Okay, I brought so much comfort to myself, not canceling this class, offering this to you all when I really wanted to stay home and heal myself because I thought I was so negative. Even my coworker said, "How are you going to teach that class tonight? You don't have any energy." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about canceling." And something said, "You know what? If you're choosing that God is love, bring this to somebody else. This may bless them. This may encourage somebody else. You can come back and suffer later. In the meantime, offer this to somebody else." And so and then I gave a reading yesterday. It happened yesterday too, because I was really miserable yesterday. And I had to do a reading. Oh my God, I didn't want to do that reading. Golly, I didn't want to do that reading, y'all. Oh my God, I didn't want to do that reading. I remember I didn't even bring my cards. I was so resistant. And the lady's like, "I'm ready for my tarot reading." And I was like, "I don't even want to do this reading." I didn't have my cards, and I surrendered. I gave that girl a really beautiful reading. I just surrendered and said, "Lord, whatever she needs to hear." And I said something that was really real, and she laughed in such a beautiful way that even in all my resistance and pain, her laugh had so much resonance. It made me laugh, and I just felt all of that negativity just leave me. And the reading was only 15 minutes, but her laugh was so healing to me. And I was like, "Oh my God, look at there. I let myself go, and I got blessed back in such a return." So yeah, the fourth step is you really want to look for a way to bless another person. All right. That's Facing Your Demons from Adam Melvin on 2017. All right. What do y'all hear? What's in this? What's in this for you all? Let me hear what y'all hear in this presentation for you all. Question, comments,
Adam, I have a question. In the beginning, you mentioned something about that these demons are not, what was it, that it's not here, like it's just energy, but not the actual entity. Did I miss something?
There's 5. Well, there's negative functioning forces. The earthbound spirits are here, and the astral entities can influence this realm, but they can't physically do harm. Like physically do harm.
You said, I think you said like there were the demons that could do the physical harm. They've been removed for thousands of years.
That's what. Okay, I remember that. I must say personally, I know that not to be true.
Okay.
For me, I have absolutely been attacked by a demon. I've actually seen it with my own eyes for a few years.
Now, I said the falling angels, those earthbound spirit and negative thought forms and entities in earthbound, they can influence certain frequency fields. But the ones I said aren't here are the falling angels, like the fallen angel midway creatures. But the shadow, earthbound spirits, and thought forms, they do sometimes manifest in physical. If the environment is conducive for their energy in different places. If that makes sense. So, but thank you for sharing, Jackie. Anybody else? Comments? What's in this? What's here for you?
I have something to say. This is April. First of all, I thank you. I know you said you were not up to spirit. Like what you're saying definitely did help me. Like the last couple of meetings I've been to has been resonating with where I'm at in life. The thing what you said about our past lives, like how and I may be wording this incorrectly, but how it's kind of like can attach to us now. I remember like last year I was just having like this mental breakdown, and I had a thought like, this isn't me. Like this all came to be me. And so like now the last couple of weeks, I've been like intentionally been like trying to like deal with my demons and figure out like what causes anxiety and what causes my depression, and just kind of like don't resist it, but just kind of like, you know, figure out what causes and go from there, and not just like once it happens, just make myself feel worse. And another thing that you said, like when I had that thought, I had it as a thought as an adult, but whenever you said about people feeling punished by God, like I've been dealing with anxiety and depression since I was like a child. Like I've been, you know, it's been heavy with me for a long time. And then I finally put the two together. It's like, oh, well, if I had that thought now, then that probably was happening to me as a child. I was just carrying energy that just all wasn't my own. But that time period in my life as a child, like I always felt like God abandoned me, or this higher power abandoned me or don't love me because I'm being punished for feeling this way and I don't know why. But it kind of like when you said that, kind of gave me a release of my inner child of like, you know what, it's okay. Like it's heaviness that was probably not just at your own, it's probably carrying people in your household, keeping people from like your ancestors or even your past lives. It's just like, maybe I was just sensitive enough to just have it with me.
Well, you know, you're a projector with so much openness.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Just think about it in human design terms. I mean, you're born here with so much openness as a projector, so much openness.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Do you have an open spleen, April?
I think, well, I can't remember off the top of my head if.
But I mean, as a projector, it means you have a lot of openness.
Yeah.
So to be growing, think about it now. We grew up with a lot of shame and guilt just from being a slave. Like we don't, most of us in the area we grew up in, we grew up where our ancestors were slaves at. That's psychologically, that's a lot of heaviness.
Yeah.
It's just a lot, just to grow up and stay in there is a lot.
Yeah.
Energies that's just immersed in those churches.
Yeah, a lot. But like when you said that,
culture.
It gave me kind of permission to like forgive myself and forgive everything else, where it's just like, you know, it's okay. You weren't being punished. Like it wasn't, you wasn't abandoned. You know, you wasn't being punished for feeling this way. It's just that I was just able to feel it, and I didn't know what it was, and that's okay because I was a child. I didn't have
Very beautiful.
I didn't have this 25 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
So
Very
yeah, so
beautiful.
I just appreciate it and thank you.
I did a reading for a projector one time, and they had picked up their grandmother's shame very consciously. That they didn't even know they were a projector, but they remember saying that they know that they felt like as a child they wanted to take away her pain and suffering, and they were super empathic, and they did it.
And it's crazy, like in my family, and I'll say this and I'll stop, but like depression is known, but it's like it's there and people say it. Like my mom would be like, you know, depression running in our family, but then the next breath would be like, what do you have to be depressed about? And I'm like, well, which one is it? you know,
that's that guilt over being depressed. You get depressed over being depressed, and that guilt, that shame, and that's that secrecy and that guilt.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guilt literally is the guilt, shame, guilt, and fear. It'll keep you in negative entity, but it's slick. And that's why group and support and talking. Because when I was deep in mine, Nicole reached out to me and sent me a text and said, hey, I'm having a bad day. I said, I'm having a bad day too, girl. Right. But just that confession to her I told her it helped release me some. And so she said it helped release her. So just talking and confessing it and getting out. That's why I like us do these check-ins. And I can see how when some of y'all finish doing the check-in, y'all already feel a little lighter just by airing that out of you. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, April. Beautiful story.
So, I got a couple of things too, and I mean, I think that, you know, what Adam said, because Adam is the leader, right, guys? Like, he is the one that gives us all the information that we use to basically transform our lives. And I fought, because Adam is very busy, and I know he gets a lot of messages. I fought myself all day from reaching out to him. And I finally said, I think the last thing happened. I think it was the Whitney song, Adam. It was the Whitney song. And I said, you know what? Let me text him and really be like, yo, I'm not going to make it till Friday. That's what I told him. I said, I'm not going to make it. And the sense of community, y'all, like when we figure out and we hear somebody else's story and, you know, they still hear, like whether they completely made it or not, their path is still different, but y'all feel and share the same thing. And when you have that community, and that's why this group is so important, and I'm so thankful that Adam sticks with it, because like I just said, like this is the level up. And everything that we have learned, including like human design, because one thing that's in my design is hope. And I give people hope. And I watch all the money start raining down on my crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh my God, like this is the joy. Like I said, it's not the treasure. You know what I'm saying? It is the walk to the treasure. Like it's just, the treasure can be anything. It can be anything. It can be a laugh. It can be anything. It does not have to be money, but it will. It's money too. And that community thing is so important. I'm so thankful. And I wanted to say that. And then I wanted to say, Adam, when you started these talks, you talked about like, if we can get this during COVID, right? Because the point is that it doesn't matter what it is. Like if we scared of a car accident, COVID, the Black Lives Matter, and y'all excuse me, because I'm very direct kind of, you know what I'm saying, the racial injustice movement, you know what I'm saying, and the police, you know what I'm saying, like it could be anything. But if it's like you have your intuition and you know, okay, I'm not supposed to go there, I'm not supposed to do that. Oh.
Nicole, we lost your volume. Nicole, we lost your volume. All right, I think we lost Nicole. Are the rest of y'all still there, or did everybody get lost? Did I lose everybody?
We're here. I'm here. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, everybody, I don't know what happened to Nicole. She might still be talking, but thank you all. Thank you all for receiving this. Thank you for sharing this space with me. Thank you for letting me bring this download and give it off to you all. Thank you all. I hope that it can inspire you all, and I look forward to getting more updated versions of it. And I hope that we can take this revealed truth and act on it in some way and keep ourselves released and free and moving towards the progress of our soul journey in our life. Thank you all. Thank you. If you've been blessed by this, feel free to give back the exchange through some type of appreciation, love offering, or a positive comment. My Cash App, I just typed it in, is Addam from Adam with 2 D's. I will be posting this on for replay on my YouTube channel and on my podcast channel. My handle is Addam from Adam. Charles, you asked about the difference between hope and faith. Hope is this idea of just believing that tomorrow gets better. And faith is just in every moment, is trusting what is not, putting an effort every moment to see that what you see is not it. There's something else that exists. So they're very connected, but hope is this idea that tomorrow can get better. Okay. All right, everybody. I do love you all. Thank you all for sharing your space with me and receiving this presentation. Namaste, everybody. I do have Venmo. I'll give you my email address for Venmo. I think it's my Venmo number. Oops, that's not right. What is my Venmo? Thank you for asking. I will give that Venmo number out now. Okay. Well, I just left my Venmo. Thank you in advance. Thank you, everybody, again, and thanks for the positive feedback. And yeah, I'm excited about improving this talk and getting new downloads and help myself out. And maybe we're back in person. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I'm at the community center in room 002. So we are allowed to be back, but we just have to do some big distances for those who are ready to come back in person with your mask on and equal space. So I'm in here trying it out now. So maybe we'll be back here soon. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you all for sharing.